Welcome to the Smarter Leadership Podcast, where we explore the power of leadership, from overcoming challenges to shaping cultures and building a lasting legacy. Through inspiring stories and insights from our guests, we'll share transformative lessons to help you thrive in today's interconnected world. I'm Tuchi Voe. Join us for conversations that will inspire thought and action. Today's episode brings together three remarkable women, Janet Sunkwa-Mills, Comfort Ocran, and Dedo Kofi, for a powerful conversation on what success really means. From boardrooms to purpose-driven ventures, each of these leaders has charted a unique path. Together, we explore how their definitions of success have evolved over time, what drives them, and the lessons they've learned along the way. It's a candid, thoughtful, and inspiring dialogue that challenges conventional ideas of achievement and invites you to reflect on your own. Tap in for a conversation that redefines success with purpose, clarity, and heart. Janet, Dedo, Comfort, I'm so excited to have you all here today. And I think I'm going to let us jump straight in because this is going to be an exciting conversation. So I'd start by just asking you to share a bit about yourself, what you do, for those who don't know you, who are watching us.
Oh, Tuchi, it's such a pleasure to be here. I've been watching your podcast. I'm like, I gotta be there.
Awesome. So glad
Okay,
you're here.
so I'm Janet Sunkwa-Mills. In a nutshell, I do so many things, but I think for today, I'll stick to marketing consultant, business developer, a mentor, and an empowerer of women.
No, don't stick to that. Yeah, you do it all, and I think it's good.
I do so many things, including a mother, a wife, a beautician, whatever, but I love the space I'm in. So thank you so much for having us.
You know, you started in the corporate world. Now you're in the world of entrepreneurship. You're doing marketing consulting. So, you know, it's rich, and I think it's good for our viewers to know that.
Thank you.
Dedo.
Hi, Tuchi.
Hi,
I'm so excited to be sitting with amazing women that I admire so much. So about me, my name is Dedo Kofi. I am a multi-passionate entrepreneur. It just simply means I have interest in more than one business. So I am known for being a curator of gifts with my brand niche. We do curated gifts for brands and also for individuals. And it's also a lifestyle brand, so we have exclusive items for homes. I actually started my business with Dedo, which was marketing, advertising, events, which I still do, and it's still running. I also have a platform called True Life, which is actually my very passionate program, because one of the things that I like is to see people do well, is to see people become their best selves. So I think in my next phase of life, I am passionate about seeing people, when it comes to people with businesses, make the best out of their business and also bring out the best within them, because we're all full of so many things, but there's a lot of things that stop us from taking steps to become what we're meant to be. And so I'd like to see people step out, because I have been in a space where I have second guessed, and once I stepped out, it made a difference. So I think I can help people do that as well.
Yeah,
so,
I've seen some of the stuff you started to share. It's really inspiring. It's wonderful. So,
thank you.
Comfort.
Yep, Tuchi, thank you so much for having me here and all of us here. I mean, I always admire you, and therefore the opportunity for us to sit down and have a chat is very, very interesting for me. Well, I am a young person at heart, and a child of God. I've worked in the youth development space for more than 18 years now. And so I work with the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. We have the opportunity to engage people across the nation every single day. And in our line of work, we had the opportunity to interact directly with at least 800,000 young people across this nation. And it's amazing when you see their stories, when you hear their stories from where they were and where they have been, because of the interventions that have been rolled out to them. Presently, I have the unique pleasure of working with the MasterCard Foundation on the Ghana Grows program, which is aimed at engaging young people to see that there's so much opportunity in the extended value chain for agric and ATVET. And therefore, we need to have that mindset shift, what says that, when you go into agric, it's because there's no chance for you. But rather, you choose to go into agric because there's so much space, I just can't see where I cannot make it. And so they go into it, they should go into it with vim, because they will succeed and realize their full potential there. So I'm a privileged person.
Awesome. And I know some of your stories. I've seen a lot of the work that each of you have been doing. I know we all belong to a group called Executive Women Network. We'll talk a bit about that later. And so many wonderful women doing wonderful things. So I thought today we could spend a few minutes or moments or however long we want to talk about success and what that means to you. Maybe Comfort, let's start with you. What is success to you?
Well, success basically is achieving something. And this achievement could be on the personal level. It could be on the community level. It could be on the national level. So, for instance, when in the 60s, America was able to go to the moon, it was a national achievement, and that was a national success. However, you could bring it to the individual person, and then you look at what goal you choose to put ahead of yourself and how you've been able to achieve it. Now, when we talk about success at the individual level, it differs. Because what you would consider as success will be different from what Janet will consider as success. And it will be different from what Dedo would. And therefore, if we decide that we would just look at the society's definition of success and not see how, and would all chase the same goal, would end up being like cows in the head just running down the same path, and nobody sitting down to say, what will success mean to me? How would I make it different? How would I feel that I have accomplished a lot when I do that? So basically, success is achievement. Success can be on the individual level, on the organizational level, on the national level. And success must be something that you deliberately choose to, take a step back and say, what would I consider to be success? And how do I take the needed steps to make whatever I choose to consider success happen?
So individuals taking that deliberate step to look at themselves and what they would consider. So let's jump on that. I'm throwing it out there. What is success to you or you? How do you define it today? And maybe has it differed from how you defined it in the past? And let's personalize it.
For me, I feel success is definitely not a point. It's not a place that you arrive at. I feel it's a journey. And so at every point in time, success has meant different things to me. If you asked me now if I'm successful, because we're here, I would say yes, I'm very successful. Because what success meant to me was being happy. And as a young girl, there was a point where I felt I wasn't very happy. And so when I transitioned from the space where I felt very happy, that meant success to me. I was living with my grandmother, and it was just very happy for me. And so that was my definition of success. And anything else after that was okay. But that was, I had become successful. And then, growing up...
But what triggered that success? Was it time spent with your grandma? Was it...
It was because I was in a space where... Okay. I wasn't living with my mom. I was living with my dad and then my stepfamily. I don't know how to say this because it's going on now. I'm trying to say it well because everyone's going to hear, but it's the truth. How do I put it? So, I was living with my dad and my my step family or my half siblings, whom I adore so much. But then in that space, my mom was not there. So it wasn't very happy
felt that
for
void.
me. I felt that void. And so when I finished secondary school and I had to, because I was always sick when I was in secondary school. And I think at a point, the doctors wanted to see my family. They wanted to see someone because Dedo was always being rushed to 37 or Achimota Hospital. So I remember a doctor there, Dr. Akude. I remember her name so well. She said she needs to see someone from home. So I asked my grandma and then my auntie, it was my uncle's wife. They went to see the doctor, and she said that she thinks that I am not medically unwell, but I just need to be taken care of. And so when I finished secondary school, I wrote my exam sick, so I was not well. And so my grandma said she wanted me to come stay with her so that I could get well. And that's when I moved to be with my grandmother, and it was the happiest time for me. So that was success for me. Moving on, I think success has been choosing me. And choosing me meant success because sometimes for the way that I am, I know that I want everybody to be happy.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I still like to do that. But at a certain point, it's actually sometimes you put other people before you. And so at the point where I realized, and it's not the people's fault, so at the point where I realized, okay, to be able to sustain this journey, I need to learn how to choose me. And so where it meant I have to say no, I say no. Where it meant I can't do something for you when sometimes I would bend backwards and do it at my own disadvantage, I have learned to be able to choose me. And I mean, even if it was a relationship, I've been in relationship where I was not choosing me. And when I decided to choose me, I felt that I moved into a journey of doing things for myself. And I think that in that space, even if you're having difficulties, even if things are a bit, you're struggling, it still feels good because you know that everything that you need to do, you have done. And that's when you leave the rest to God for him to do his own things. So in that space, now I feel like I'm cruising. I'm so successful because I have intentionally learned to do a lot of the right things. And so the rest of it, God is going to do it.
I really love that because honestly, I've seen you pour into others and, you know, wanting people to feel good. And it's important to show that you can do that while at the same time setting boundaries because you cannot do it at the detriment of your mental health, so it's so important. We can do both, you know.
We can do both. The Bible says that you love others as yourself. So if you don't choose yourself first and see if you are okay, and you keep pouring into others,
eventually,
so let's love others just as we love ourselves.
Not more.
So Janet, for you, success.
Success, such an elusive word, isn't it? Okay, for me, it's so exciting to hear Comfort share her story, and Dee as well. Dee, you've been brave, and I commend you for that. So kudos for sharing that so authentically and so, let me say, okay. So for me, success is interesting because it's an evolution. So let's go here to the beginning of the story where I'm the only daughter among 4 boys. So success means you've been given a job and your job is to feed your brothers because my mom was working. She would go to work very early in the morning. So the role of the mother at home was mine. So the job is make sure they've bathed, they've been fed, and go to school. Of course, I was going to school as well. So having completed the job meant success.
Were you in the middle or older or younger?
I was number 2, but I was the mother. Even my mom calls me sister.
Okay.
So leadership, it's interesting we're talking about smarter leadership, because leadership has been part of who I am from the get-go. And then, as you're growing up, you go to school and your objective is to pass that exams. And that was success. Once you came out with flying colors, that was success. So let me tell you this interesting story. In Mauli, I was in Mauli Secondary School. And at Form 3, you were asked after the exam, depending on how the results turned out, you either did science or arts. And then science was for sharp brains, right? And then the arts was for
people like me.
I tell you, people like me as well. So I write the exams and I passed, and they said, no, actually, Daniel, you could do science. I said, no friggin' way, I'm not doing science. I am an art student, I'm not that sharp brain. And then, of course, I didn't do the science, and I went into university. But what I learned from that was the mindset shift from I can't do it to I can do it. So there is a shift in the mind that tells me I can't be this, and then you switch to I can do it. And that for me was an epiphany of I can do it. And I think it sparked in me something new. So when I went to the university and I was giving, those days, you choose linguistics and English, and you were given, you were given something else, and I was given Russian. And I was like, Russian? I can't even identify the alphabets, where V is B and everything. If you've ever looked at the Rafa, you'll know that. So I did it and turned out first class. I was like, oh, Janet, you got this. You can do this. So this I can do it was with me throughout. And I did my MBA, and they told me, you know what? You come here with the first class, so you think what? MBA is for people like you? MBA is about quanti. Do you know? You don't know math? And I'm like, okay, I can do it. I figure out somebody teaches me quanti, and I pass. So success for me, personally, is that move, the paradigm shift, i.e., currently, in our culture scape, in our educational scape, you're taught to learn this, then you become this. Learn medicine, and you become a doctor. So from do something to be something. And the evolution for me was be something to become something. And so for me, although I've achieved so many successes in my corporate life, I was in Nestle 20 years plus, and I've moved from country to country. Out of the 20 years, 11 of them were in expert positions. Tucci, you know better than me, because we've been there together. And now I'm an entrepreneur. I've been in the business for over 8 years. We've won multiple awards. So you can measure the tangibility of success. But as I'm growing up, I'm seeing that, I look at success differently. The same shift that occurred in my mind now has occurred spiritually, in the sense that for me, success means being grounded. For me, success means having anchor points in my life. Because I ask myself, so how did you do this? It's not about affirmations for me. I read a lot about affirmations, but for me, it's not about affirmations. It's about, you did this, how did you do it? And in the diagnosis of how did you do it, that is where you find your anchor points, so that when the times are dynamic in the VUCA world, where is your pivot? Where is your anchor? What grounds you such that you can pivot? And in that sense, there's, Eric Agboja, he gifted me a book called The Alchemist. If you've read The Alchemist, it was about this shepherd boy. So he travels, blah, 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 in search of whatever, but he discovers that the solution is in himself. So back to what Tucci was saying, and having that grounding in yourself, and finding those anchor points where you can shift, and no matter how the billows roll, you're grounded. So that's what success means to me. I've evolved from the tangibility of it to the mindset shift of I can do it, to the point where I am grounded in my anchor points. One of them, of course, is God. The other is my spirituality. Then my family, my husband, my EWN sisters. So I have many spokes. So when the billow rolls, I'm totally anchored.
You're anchored.
And for me, that's what success is.
And maybe, we can, just building on that, you talked about, when you're most down, when the billows roll, and success on the one hand is something which connotes positivity, joy, whatever it is. And then on the other hand, we talk about failures. So maybe we can spend some minutes talking about that and juxtaposing the two, sharing some stories and some insights on that. Have there been times when you felt, especially maybe even at the same time, you're experiencing, something really tough and hard, and you're feeling like the world is crumbling, but at the same time, something good is happening? Yeah? Anything that you can share?
Yeah, I was thinking that that's an interesting juxtapositioning of the good, the bad, and the ugly all in the same picture. And you're trying to see what can come out of this. I mean, this is very, very, very recent, We were scheduled to go to Tamale to go and, have a ball. The EWN has a program called Elevate, where we support young people, mentor them, and hope that as they go through the mentoring program, they would really find themselves, and there will be people who would accomplish a lot in future. So I was ready, very ready, going to jam in Tamale. And I love Tamale because when I get there, I get to eat TZ without fail. So I was really, yes, Tozafi, really looking forward to go and, get my freshly made Tozafi right in Tamale. Then a couple calls that they were expecting their first baby. And they had gone to the doctor. And the doctor said they couldn't feel the fetal's heartbeat. Now, I had to choose between EWN and the couple. But whilst we were praying and believing God for a turnaround, I had to keep commenting on the EWN platform. Oh, this is going very well. We thank God, and that kind of stuff, to encourage what was going on. Yeah, it didn't happen. We spent the whole night. It didn't happen. So I had to go through the motions of going to the family, the couple were not in a position to do the burial. No, it was too much. And it's not something that you can also tell someone that come and help me. So I had to sit there, go and buy the little boy's dress that he will put him in and all that kind of stuff. In that moment, when I was taking this little boy to the morgue, I chose to sing the song of the Lord. And I was worshiping God. Worshiping God. Trying to see the good in that ugly moment. And as I worshipped, there was a nurse beside me. And I told her that, you know what? When I'm very sad, that is when I play music. So I worshipped. And when we got back to the hospital, that little girl said, indeed, you're a woman of God. Because I've seen faith in action. And I said, if this is one of the outcomes of this position, God, may you be glorified. And so when you see the joy on our faces, it's not because the challenge didn't go through, but we find that we are able to say, thank you, Lord, in the midst of it all. So, the good the bad and the ugly can be together, but it is what we choose to make out of the bad, or what we choose to make out of the ugly. That is when we are able to see ourselves. Now, when I see now I appreciate children even more. I know that we are going to come up with new interventions, because we're talking about what kind of interventions can we put in place for young expectant women. I don't know what will come out ultimately, but I know something good would come out of it. And that, for me, is how we can be successful even when things are not doing well.
Best, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, and these are the types of things that put everything into perspective.
I tell you.
And I think it's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about success today, because when we look at the world's definition, and it, like you started off with, it looks pretty straightforward, but life happens.
Life does happen.
And life is happening so fast. These days, I don't know, from one year to the next, it's like it's running and things are changing. Today, people are living on their handsets. You can be in a village somewhere in Ghana, but you know what's happening all over the world. You see people dressed as if they're in Hollywood, and you wonder where they even got the outfits from, somewhere in a village, in Ghana. So things are changing. And so success for young people today, I don't even know.
The parameters are so different.
They're so different. I cannot imagine what they would say if we ask Gen 0. Now there's all sorts of...
I'm lost in the business.
How they would define success. And I think it's so important that we're spending time to talk about this grounding and a peace. It's a word that you won't use earlier in life, but today, if you say, I'm at peace, I have joy, I have strength.
Yeah.
This is, critical, and it's so important. So, thank you all for sharing.
And I wanted to jump on the back of what Comfort said. And Tucci, I don't know how you're doing it, but today you've gotten us to share the deeper essence of who we are. And I talked about grounding and anchor point. I'll tell you how I went there. And I will try to dig deep because this is a testimony. I know your show is not a Christian show, but whoever is listening to us, you find your own anchor points. It doesn't have to be through Christianity, but I'm sure that is your story. And this is amazing because it's around childbirth as well. Me personally, when I'm going through that, I have two boys. One of them is 28 and the other is 25. But the testimony is about the 28 years old. For both of them, I'm hospitalized 6 months. Yeah, because we lost the first one, and it was discovered that, to deliver, I had to be hospitalized for 6 months. And I think in Nestle, when you came in, I was in hospital with...
That's why I didn't see you.
Exactly, I was in hospital with the first one, and he came early. So he came early at 1.5 kilos. So you know what I mean, in Niku, Kolebu Niku. And you go there, and you see plump babies, and you're wondering, why isn't mine, plump and healthy? Why is mine so small? But every day that I woke up, there were two songs that I sang. Very elementary school. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. So I said, okay, if mine is the yellow one, or the black one, or the red one, he's cut them all. And I'll sing the song and go to Nico, and my baby is healthy. Long story short, he's out. He's now a medical doctor, and he works at Kolebu.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And the doctor who looked after him since day one was his lecturer.
Wow.
And he works at Kolebu, and he's in the children's ward. And then he goes, Mom, if you see what's going on here, you won't believe it. I say, Brian, I've seen it all. because you went through it with me. Wow. And the second one, similar story, but he came on time and on terms. So, there are moments in life where it all seems so difficult. You have the yin and the yang. So wherever there's positivity, there's negativity. Let's get it straight. It's never success throughout. There are negative experiences along the journey. But there's this Japanese act called kintsugi. And kintsugi is a poetry form where you mend broken pottery with golden streaks. And in the mending, that brokenness becomes something so unique and so beautiful. And those golden streaks are the different pains, the different hurdles that you've gone, but those become your healing points. And they become your anchor points to craft you into this uniqueness and this beauty. So if there are anybody listening to us, embrace those moments and just try to find out what is life trying to teach me out of these, and what am I going to learn out of these, and how can I harness it to the best of my ability, and how can this moment be my kintsugi moment, and how does it anchor me? That's why I'm saying that, for me, success means I have found my anchor points that keeps me grounded no matter the turbulence. And that's why you see me, I'm always cheerful. I'm always happy. I'm always everything. Always. Even on the Ghana Most Beautiful platform, they all know me as the judge who will give it to you straight. Because life is what it is. Let's enjoy it. What have we got to lose?
Absolutely. I think the bounce back is part of the success story. You mentioned
it's an
that
important part.
It's a huge part, And I'm glad you shared that story as well, because I remember you've reminded me when I started at Nestle, you were not there.
Yes.
And then one day I saw this woman there, you were there, you were like a bulldozer, strong. Going through. I was okay. And then you were close with Frida Duplan, another very strong woman.
Exactly.
I was like, okay, a bunch of strong, tough women.
No, exactly. And it's so far, we were like, when we were in Nestle, you wouldn't miss us. That's the other thing I find about success, so-called success. The point is, wherever you find yourself in life, make sure that when you're not there, you are missed. Don't just go through it as if you're one of just anybody. Your presence should be felt by the impact you make on other people's lives. And you can only do it when you're confident in yourself, when you're grounded, when you're self-aware, when you choose you. And fill your cup, and then you can let go.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
I have to take a deep breath. But I love it. And I think these are the real conversations that people should hear. Success, when you have the ability to remain focused, that alone is success. And I think when we're talking about hardships, difficulties, sometimes that's all you need to be able to do. And even staying silent in the midst of all that is going on. So, for me, I remember, I started my business as an entrepreneur. I started my work life as an entrepreneur. So that's all I have known. And so I've been trying to build by myself and getting help where necessary. And there's been too many times that I'm like, I can't do this anymore. But also, as much as those thoughts come to me, I know for real that I'm strong. I'm focused. I know that I need to have my adequate building where we're going to house different things. I have the big dream. And so when those thoughts come, it's just keeping focused and looking at where I say I'm going to go. And when I see that I started from A, I'm actually at K. And so from A to K, there were a lot of hurdles to jump. And so I was just have to. Got there. So it's finding things that would help you stay focused. Through my journey, I found EW. I was looking for a place to belong, a place that I knew I could grow. And that's where I read about EW, and I was like, okay, this is a space I want to be in. So I found their number, called them, and said, okay, I need to be part of this move. I think that was when it was just 1 year old. And so I was intentional about finding places or spaces that would help me focus on how I was going to be successful. And sometimes you need that. So there was a point I didn't know what I was doing with my business. And so I was giving my time, my service to doing things that were meaningful, whilst in my mind I'm trying to think, so what am I doing with this business? And you get that as you build. There were times when I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And then I'll get a call from an old client. I'm like, okay, they're trying to tell me you can't stop this. I also remember a time when I was so heartbroken and I couldn't even wake up from bed. I remember my mom would come and sit by my bedside. I was just crying and wanted to be home. But at the same time, I had a business to run. And I really couldn't go to the business, but I did what I could. And I would call, I would check on things, and I would make sure. But I wouldn't go in on time. I would go late. But I would dress up, polish up, and then go and then show up and do what I have to do. So I feel it's when you can find the strength to keep going on. And we've talked about being grounded. I am grounded by my faith in God. And I always say Dr. Mensa Otabil is one of the people who spoke and made me look at myself and believe in who I was, believe that I am somebody in Christ. And that, as a young girl, was a big shift for me. And that's what kept me focused. That's what kept me on, the good path. I think that if I didn't know those things, I could have veered off wrongly. So being able to know that if this is who I am in Christ, then I can do all things through the Christ who strengthens me. These things sound like, but that's what holds me. No matter what's happening around me, I know that the end is going to be great. Whatever is going wrong, it's just part of that journey. And so when you have something that you can hold on to and you can look at that, and it will just help you take the next step, and the next step.
Each
That
day
is
at a time.
actually good enough. That's actually good enough. So finding a way to stay focused. I remember when I took space at One Airport Square. It was a bowl. It's still there.
Beautiful things. I used to walk in and
Because my friend was working there and they told me about the project. I was like, it's exciting. But then also I thought, it's going to be too expensive. Can I do it? But I thought to myself, why not? A Ghanaian brand should be able to run at a certain level, and I am not meant to be in the corner store, so I'm going to do this. But then when I started, it was difficult. Sometimes when I get my letters for rent, I cannot sleep. And
Crazy.
But I just was taking one step, one day at a time. And you don't go to sleep, you have to work. And I was doing the work. How can I make my brand more visible? How can I reach the people? How can I hit my target so that I can be able to go on this journey that I'm on? So you take bold. If you're not doing something that scares you, then you're So I feel that once we are able to challenge ourselves to do things, taking one step at a time, that alone is success.
Huge.
It is success.
Indeed, it's bold. And I'm hearing you wake up, you see this letter, you feel down, but you go. Even if you go late, you go. You polish your face, you go. And this is what builds us and strengthens us. And then you also mentioned your mum being there for you. So maybe we can spend some time talking about relationships. the relationships that build us, that help us, that support us to arrive at whatever that definition of success is. This group, this EWN, as you mentioned, is one such group. You have people with different backgrounds, but also you can find people with similar backgrounds, similar stories, who have walked the walk and help you. So maybe let's talk about that for a minute. Where is EWN today, and what's it trying to do?
Yeah. Before we go to EWN, though, it's interesting you mentioned mother. So because I don't have sisters, my mom is like my sister. Yeah, she had me when she was 21 years old, so we're like sisters, and we can chat and everything else. And she was in the media space, and I'm now in the media space with the Ghana Most Beautiful. Now I do a lot of mentoring and, emceeing at international events. And I remember the first time they called me to be the Ghana's Most Beautiful judge, I call her. I'm like, Charlie, what do you think? Oh, yeah, no, I fee. I'll translate it. Oh, just go and do it. I'm like, hey, TV and all that. It's in your blood.
Exactly, I agree.
I'm like, she says it's in your blood. Just go and do it. Okay, so now the rest is history. I've been doing it for 5 years. I was called by Ibokun Awoshike's team to be the MC for her International Women Leadership Conference in Dubai this year. I'm like, hey, Charlie, Janet, you're going spaces. So I'm like, again, I call my mom. Oh, me no feel. You'll be on bigger platforms. Just go. So I go and do it, and I did it well. So the thing is, like I said, the anchor is as strong as its pivot. And for me, the anchor is God. There's so many spokes to that pivot, and one of them is my mom. When I feel challenged, I call her, and she'll give me all the vim, and she says, go. One of them is my husband. You all know, in our cultural environment, married women are to be with their husbands and the family, right? And very few men will allow their wives to be off. So in my 20 years career, 11 out of that was outside Ghana. So who do I call Ghostbusters? I call my husband. I'm like, okay, this is what it is. What do you think? So just go. You've got all the support. My friends were like, somebody will take your husband away from you. I'm like, really? Don't you think somebody else who can take me away from my husband? I'm like, come on, we both got value. The thing is, he is one of the spokes to my anchor, my mom, my kids. Now back to EWN.
No, maybe let's come back. I've decided, yes, to EWN after, because I like that you shared this, know, and it was making me remember, or making me recall that Comfort actually works with her husband on some platforms, right?
They do.
So let's tell us, how is that?
That is the most, amazing opportunities I've had in my life, It's almost impossible for some people, but by some miracle, we've made it work. So we started our first business together. It was called Combat Depressions. It was a printing institution. And our aim when we started was to be one of the best printing businesses in Ghana. And by the amazing grace of God, it did happen, and it happened big time. The interesting thing is that when we were doing Combat and it was succeeding, people wanted to find out more. So we kept having these conversations. And then we also realized that there were young people who needed to be supported in their growth, to understand that life is not just about school, or life is not just that things would happen for you. You sometimes need to set goals for yourself. You sometimes need to make sure that those goals, they are attainable. They are attainable because you keep referencing them and seeing how far. So then you set the goals, you achieve your goals, and if you are able to do it, praise the Lord. If you are not, then you monitor and say, okay, what happened, what went wrong, and so on and so forth. So we started going around the country.
Together. And how do you split responsibilities and roles? So
then Albert is a deep diver. Albert is really focused on the what what makes the engine run. So he's a technical person. I am the, oh yeah, that's what we want to do, and so on and so forth. So I do the whole picture. He does the deep dive. So once we recognize each other's strengths, we are good like that. And that is how we've worked together. Where we do not agree, because hey, I don't see how we can work in an organization and everything that we do would be good for both parties or for the whole party. We say, okay, what does the business need, or what is the focus, or what is the target, and so which idea most likely will make this target achievable. And once we decide this is the way we are going, we fall behind and give it our best push. So having the person, that's my husband in this case, and when we started going around the country, sometimes we are out of town for about 40 days, almost 2 months, 3 months, just going around the country. My mother and his mother stepped in. So they were living with us until her mother went, and my mother still lives with me. So the children had the grandmothers, right, because unfortunately both fathers ran away many years ago. So, I mean, we don't have the father, but the children had the grandmothers stepping in to support. We also had maybe a house help or something to do, because the grandmothers can't do the hard work of cleaning and that kind of stuff, of cooking.
But you had that peace of mind knowing that the mothers were with your children.
I can get up at a flip of a hat and go, because I know that grandma is there. I don't need to now wonder who can do the babysitting, because there's a permanent babysitter in the house. Therefore, sometimes when people say that, I can't see how I can live with somebody's mother. Don't forget.
The way she said it too.
Right? They haven't seen the real thing.
Don't forget, before you got married, that was the person who was taking care of either the husband, your wife, or your husband. Therefore, all of a sudden, when he or she comes into your life, the person doesn't become something bad. No. Look at the person you decided that, how I love you, and use the same love to respect the person, and you would have so much joy in your life. As Janet was talking, that she's negotiating the mother-in-law. I mean, the same thing. I mean, you have a new person, and you're wondering, will the person like me? But if you show love, most of the time, people also respond.
You have to have a strategy, though.
Yes, you have to have a strategy. Yeah.
It doesn't come easy to change. There's a clear strategic direction with a 10-page power. I'm telling you, I think we can have a whole conversation about winning the mothers-in-law, and we will teach you all the strategy. It doesn't come easy.
So yes, I mean, working together has been great. I mean, working together, you cover each other's back. Working together implies that when somebody is winning, we are all winning. But when somebody is losing, one of you must stand up and say, you know what, we've got this. We've got this. And you together, I mean, Bible says that can two work together except they agree. And therefore, that particular agreement, where when somebody's down, you lift the person up. When somebody's up, you together, you rise. It makes such a huge difference.
So EWN and the difference it's making in women's lives, and the men too, indirectly.
Listen, we are, the four of us all belong to EWN. You, myself, all of us. So you can imagine what an amazing sisterhood it is. And look at us all chatting and laughing, sharing. We're so true to ourselves. So a little bit about EWN. Currently, we are about close to 160. And these are executive women leaders, middle level, top level CEOs, MDs, board directors, board members. So these are powerhouses of women in Ghana in EWN. And we network, we dialogue, we support each other, those just saying how she joined EWN. I was called in by Frida.
So
the
was
Frida
At the very beginning.
yeah, she was rallying all of us, and I always keep saying when I started, when it was launched, I was sitting so far behind. I mean, if you didn't know me, you wouldn't know I was there. But here I am today. I'm the chairperson of the executive committee. Dedo used to be part of the executive committee. Comfort is in there and we work with so much passion, with so much commitment. I was surprised, Comfort, when you was commenting on the Temale event, because I went. And she was commenting, to think that you were going through that. And you still commented. And at that point, I bet you it uplifted people on the platform. Because everybody was commenting. And, you know, when we were flying back, Tucci, I kid you not, I was like, Janet, did you have to do this? Did you really have to do this? The flight was so bad. The turbulence was, I was like, okay, God, is this how you planned for me to go? Because, you know,
very serious conversations.
I'm telling you, you know, I mean, that's the time, you know, when we are going to be birthed, we don't know how. But when we're going to die either, you're like, oh, okay, this is how I'm going. Okay, you begin to think. And you're like, Charlie, just land. And when the craft landed, you know what? The pilot was like, oh, it's raining out there. So if you want to stay in which aeroplane? Quickly! I mean, the ground was like sacred ground. Let's get out of here. You know, but that is the commitment and the energy we bring to impacting ourselves and then the lives of the youth, because we understand, Tucci, you and I, Comforted, we will go. Yeah. But the joy is in leaving a legacy behind, a heritage behind. She talked about her mom. If I'm going to talk about my mom today, we will never leave this place. You know what I mean? We have stood on the shoulders of these formidable women.
I tell you.
That talked about her mom as well. Please, men, we are not saying you're not playing your role. You're playing your role. You're playing your role. So we're just saying that there's this special thing that you have with your mother that has, you know, made it all worth it. And when we went to Temale, there were the first visit, there were about 500 girls. And this one, there are about 250 girls, where EWN, we invest with print manuals, we link them up with mentors in Temale because we believe they should be mentored by women within their environment. They understand the culture scape better. But you know, the beauty is you live feeling good that you've given back. You know, giving back doesn't have to be only your children or your family or people who have poured into you. Somebody asked me a good question the other time. Do you know what? I said, she said, what keeps you grounded? And she said, what keeps you so confident? I said, because I'm grounded. I know what I'm doing, so I'm grounded. But then I told her, my weakness is I give, but I find it difficult to receive and ask for. Yeah. And then we had a chat. It was a pastor. She said, you know, Janet, when you give, the joy you give people, you deny people that joy if you don't receive from them.
Right. That's
and
that's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Oh, damn. So Tucci, I'll be asking you, Pa. Because I want to pour back that joy into you. Comfort, I'll be asking you. I'll be asking you. I want to give you that experience and that joy that I get when I pour into people. So EWN is about pouring into each other, first of all, and then pouring into the up-and-coming generation. Very soon, men out there, you got to do it for the boys as well. Because, you know, the connection with the boys, if you're not careful, we will lift the girls and you will leave the boys hanging. So please, I think we should start doing it for the young. I have only sons, and I keep asking my husband, I say, Cecil, you got to do this. You know? Everybody who knows us, they call us put together. Put together. the Ga word, put together, which in put together, we are like this, the yin and the yang, the kokonsa couple, the brother and sister, the whatever it is. But it's such a beauty when you can have that kind of relationship with someone.
And these things are so important. People think that the busier you get, or the more, now in the conventional sense of success, women who have made it to the top, the C-suite women, the high-level entrepreneurs, those who are shaking things up, don't have time for people. But what I've seen is that the higher you climb, or the more life gives to you as a woman in business, in entrepreneurship, the more you want to pour into others. So actually it's the contrary. And so, like you said, young ladies are being invested in on a daily basis through organizations like this, through so many other organizations, and just, individuals. And it's true that the young boys also need to be brought up.
Yes.
Because life, you can't always be focusing on one. And without that strong balance, you're going to suffer anyway. We talk about the boardroom today. It's still men majority in the boardroom, and they need to help to lift women up. But if we're not training the young guys coming up, there's still going to be a
There'll
void.
be a gap,
I think imbalance, reverse imbalance, and that would not be good as well.
So the future for you all, where do you see yourselves? I mean, if some people who'll be watching us say these women are already successful, but we said that we're, when we were talking earlier, before we started, we're all a work in progress, and that will be that way till the good Lord calls us home. But the next 10 years, 20 years ahead of you, where are you finding yourselves? Because the way that I've seen some of you operate, this pouring into people, there's obviously so much more, and there are areas that are untapped. We talked today about women in politics. When I look at people like Dedo, I have to say, I see some opportunity. It's like everything she puts her mind to, she does it 150%, and it's the kind of commitment we need for people in governance, in public sector, but also in business and building businesses in Ghana. Today, if young people are looking for jobs, they're not going to go and find them in companies. There aren't enough jobs, so they have to build them. So anyway, what are you all planning to do and in the coming years?
Okay, so before I go that way, let me just weave this into, as Janet was talking about EWN, and I think it's important that people hear this. Success is also service. And that's one of the things that we have done. And as you serve, you're going to discover a lot of things. And I have had the privilege of serving EWN, and it's opened up a lot of opportunities. I mean, that's how I met, all of you amazing women. And when you get that connection, when you're serving, the connection that you get, the easiest way to reach me is if you know my girl at home. She has complete access. So, and she's the one who serves me. So in service, you actually get into spaces where you would hitherto not get into. That I got connected to Ibukuna Ushka through the EWN platform, through Seven. And it has been one of the amazing connections for me. She's an amazing woman. As you were all talking about being married and all, one of the things she always says is that you should marry right. And the person that you partner with, see how beautifully you're all talking about marriage. But I know that that's not the story of many people. So for me, if I'm going to do it, I would have to do it right. I cannot fail you too. You know what I mean? So I'm not just going to, I'm going to make sure that if I'm going to do it, I ask the right questions. We have to talk about. And so I'm going to do it right. And this is an amazing example for me. And without serving, I won't get into this intimate space. So if you're looking to be successful, serve. You should be ready to serve. What does the future look for me? I think that one of the things that I want to be able to pour into people, yes, but I also want to be able to serve, and in whichever space that I would find myself. Let me put it that way. And to do that, you have to also prepare yourself. So I always look at myself, okay, what are the skills that I need? I mean, some years ago, you won't find me talking like this, but I put myself out there. I made mistakes. I'm still learning. And so you look at where you're trying to go to and what you would need, because nothing happens automatically. And so I'm preparing myself, I'm learning, and it's not just learning to get maybe degrees, but also there are soft things that you learn. And it's okay to pay for things that you have to learn, because then you're preparing yourself. And we never know it all, and there's new things happening all the time. So you actually have to keep learning, so that when the time comes for you to fill a certain role or do something, you are actually prepared for that. You have a strong foundation to be able to do that. So for me, yes, I want to be pouring out into people, but I also want to prepare myself for leadership roles when they become available. Yeah.
Love it.
So, as a rule, general rule for myself, every 10 years I try to reinvent myself. I try to say, okay, so this decade, what are you going to accomplish? And then see what will make it happen. So, for the next decade, for me, we have had the opportunity of running the Springboard Roadshow Foundation for 18 years now. And we did a quick stint into West Africa, but we realized that we didn't have enough footprint in the West African zone. So for me, the next 10 years, we'll see the expansion of the Springboard Roadshow into other parts of the continent, where we are empowering young women across the nation and across the continent, because that is the goal, to empower young African leaders. So we've done young Ghanaian leaders. It's time to move into Africa. Beautiful. So that's what I see for me in the next decade. And I believe that all things being equal, we should have a good run, making sure that young people realize that as Africans, we are great. We have the capacity. We have the opportunity. Most importantly, our continent has so much to offer, and therefore we shouldn't just look at the material. We should look at how we can use the investment that we have in our brains and use it to, create very innovative things for ourselves and live fulfilling lives, in a community. Because one thing that sometimes when you talk about success, people think about the success of the individual. But I believe that we Africans, we need to succeed as a community and not just as an individual. Yeah. So that's, I mean, the future is very bright.
I love to hear it. Janet.
Hi, Tichi. Okay, so I used to think about the future in terms of 5, 3 years, 10 years, etc. But I read a very poignant book, which is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And what that book teaches me is the future is now. Like this very second that we're sitting here, what matters is now. What I can influence is what we're doing right now. I can't influence the next 24 hours because I don't control it. I don't own it. Having said that, though, so my MO in life has always been, be the best you can be at this very moment in time, and do not regret a thing. So wherever I find myself, you will know that Janet has been there. There's no debate about it, because I just give it all. I give it all to make sure that I impact my environment positively. However, I also have had experiences on the Ghana's most beautiful platform. We take these young girls, 16 of them, and we have 13 weeks. And by the end of the 13 weeks, you'll be amazed at the transformation that we've been able to achieve in those girls' lives. That's one. And then I do a lot of mentoring, either through EWM platforms or other platforms in churches. I'm like, Janet, what are you going to do with this? You are one of the ones who encouraged me. You probably have forgotten. And Tuchi's like, Janet, you can do it. Just go ahead and do it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So on my dresser, I have my vision board, and I have a registration of an NGO called Channels of Growth. Now, these channels of growth, we've realized that there's so many gaps, either intergenerational gaps, my competence, my passion, and my professional gap. Let me say parental gaps, gaps of parents and their children. There's so many gaps that we have identified between the youth, either within themselves or conflicted within themselves. Auntie Jane, I want to do this, but I'm not sure about this. I'm like, we have all this knowledge right here, all this experience, all this, whatever we've gathered over time, we impart it into our children. What about the rest? So that's what Channels of Growth is going to do. Day in, day out, I live for the day, and then of course, I'm sure by one of these years I'll be a grandmother. So I have to prepare myself to be a mother-in-law, a good one. I don't want to take all the negative accolades. I want to be a good mother-in-law, and I want to be a great grandmother. My mom says they call us grand because we are grand. So I'm going to be a good grandmom. No pressure to anybody, guys. I'm not putting pressure on you. But, those are aspects of my life that I want to enjoy. Give back, grandmother, mother-in-law, whatever life brings. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, we've talked about, our own versions or your own versions of success and what it's meant to you, but have cultural expectations played any part, whether in suppressing your own goals or defining success and putting pressure on you to feel that you need to meet a gap? What is the role of culture meant in your lives, especially maybe here in Africa? Some of you may have spent some time outside as well. Are there differences in how society and how culture has expectations on you?
That's an interesting one, but I don't see she's starting.
Okay. Definitely it does, but it's not. I think it's always not what happens to you, but how you react to it. Because I'm still young, in my 20s. But you can imagine that the question would be, oh, so when are you getting married? When are you getting married? You're just working, and people make assumptions for you. Sometimes it's not even from your family, my mom, but from her friends, and it's just in the subtle way. They try to ask you questions, and I remember, I think it was one of my birthdays, I had a party. One of my mom's friends who was not coming said, oh, she's not coming to a party, she's looking for a wedding, or so those things. But it's how I take them. I don't take them to heart. It is their own ideas or their own expectations. It's not mine. It's not that I'm not expecting to. I am expecting to get married and all of that, but it will come at the time where it's meant to be. So those things do not push me into a certain corner to feel a certain way. I will appear in any space. If it's married couples coming, I'm also coming with God.
Yeah.
I know, right? So it's how you allow those things to affect you, and so I just keep going. I know that yes, I want to be married one day. And when it happens, yes, it will. But as it's not happened, I'm also on a certain journey that's very exciting, and it's allowing me the time to do so many things that I probably wouldn't have done if I was there. So you just make do with what you have.
And you know, you mentioned not even necessarily your mom or your family, but it's their friends and other people.
Yes.
And I mean, I had that experience as well. My family, honestly, they didn't ask me anything. They could see I was happy, I was driven, I was busy, enjoying life at every single stage. There hasn't been a stage which I've not been happy, you know. But I married what you'd say what people consider later. Back then, at least, I was 36. I mean, should I say olden days? But people used to get married younger, you know, from their 20s. So by that time, for me, it was like 26 was old. But, you know, the family wasn't asking anything. It's the others, it's the friends. And you know what I would tell them? I said, when God decides, and that ended the conversation. So I wouldn't ask anything else again after that.
I think that speaks to also success is not a competitive analysis. It's like we all have our own path, so you have to make sure that you understand yours and you are walking in that path and not looking at other people, because then you are not building for you. You are just confused. So look at it from your own perspective and then do you. You can be in the same business with somebody, but where you're trying to go and some of the things that you're trying to do, it would be different. So don't look at people and then compare their journeys or what they are doing, what you actually think they are achieving. Because, I mean, right now with social media, people compare things. I mean, we actually bring it on ourselves. That's what I say. Because if somebody posts ABC, they haven't told you anything, but you immediately begin to analyze what they've posted and you give interpretations to it, and that interpretation starts giving you palpitations. I just heard interpretations and palpitations. That's a good one.
A poet or rapper.
I know, right? You allow that to happen, and it's you brought it on yourself. So we really have to stop doing that.
And you'll be surprised how miserable those people are that you think you're, you know. So you need to find your own joy at every single stage, and you'll realize that is success, you know, in and of itself. Yeah.
The social media pressure is real, and people bring it upon themselves. They should stop.
They should stop. I like
They
that.
have to stop. Stop looking at people and interpreting what is happening to them and getting property.
So culture, expectations, challenges, or has it been okay for you?
For me, culture, I define culture. Culture does not define me. So I look at what I want to accomplish. And if girls or someone like me is not supposed to do it, I will do it and get the joy out of it. And that's basically it. So, for instance, very innocuous example, but when we were in Legon, we had different sports activities.
That was your university?
Yeah, that was my uni for the University of Ghana, Legon. And we had a marathon. I've never, ever run for a marathon. I didn't even know what it was. But I just knew that we were going to run. And so I said, well, technically, I don't have the technical competence. But I said, why not run it? Because it doesn't only mean that those who have been training for it all the time should do it. So guess what? I ran the marathon, and I was number 9 out of 10 girls.
Oh, out of 10, okay.
You still did it.
You still did it.
I finished it. Yeah. You know, and for me, that was success. I did something that I had never done before, and I enjoyed it. So, I believe that as much as we should have the competence, which makes makes the learning curve shorter and makes you accomplish faster. If an opportunity comes up and you want to take advantage of the opportunity, don't take yourself out of it. Say, I am not prepared. Try it. You might succeed, but you might succeed at the end of it. But at the end of it all, you would also learn something from that trial. So personally, culture does not define me. I break culture all the time. And I do it with glee because I say, yay, I did it. And So that's
Love it.
That's
Love it.
Is the gift?
It's the
What is culture?
Yeah.
You know, science teaches you that you culture something in a certain environment. And what the culturing does, it molds it according to what you want it to be. So in our cultural environment, for me, my experience of it is more, what molded me is the role modeling part of it. And these are from my grandmothers, my grand aunties, and my mom. And what molded me into what you see today, the foundation part of it, is the role of, Janet, you got to work hard. Janet, when you do things, you have to strive for excellence. Janet, you have to be responsible. So the characterization of who I am today is hard work, discipline, start and finish with excellence. Mm-hmm. And that for me is the cultural environment in which I grew up in. And we were always allowed to color outside our lines. There were no lines that you couldn't cross. Please, if it is orange, make it tangerine. If it is violet, make it what? Maroon, whatever. There are a million colors that you can, go out there and experience life to the fullest. However, as an expatriate, moving up in different countries, I was so intrigued by the different cultures. Like in Cote d'Ivoire, when I went to Cote d'Ivoire, immediately you look at this, they were like your spec, right? And I had gone in, I think I was 65 kilos or something like that. Immediately I had to drop to 50 kilos. I said, no, Janet, you can't come into Cote d'Ivoire and be 65 kilos. What are you talking about? So no, but it was fun. My experience of these things is I don't look at it with disdain. I look at it as, what can I pick out of it? Mm-hmm. So going down to 55 kilos was not like something that was repulsive. For me, it was the experience of it. So, I lost the kgs, I experienced it, but it allowed me to immerse myself fully into that culture. Because you will know, as the life of an expat is, they're like, why you?
Mm-hmm. Why are you here?
What can you do that a local cannot do? Yeah. You don't speak French, you don't speak Baole, you don't speak Kanyi, you speak English and Twi and Ghana. What I came to do here? So it's a way of immersing yourself and learning what you can learn from that culture. And from that culture, I picked up so many dishes, interesting dishes that I could wow my husband with. Now,
so that those women cannot catch him.
So flip side, I got posted to Nigeria. And I arrived in Nigeria, they say, Ma, you are small, oh. You
can't win.
You look so small. I'm like, So, I said, Ma, you have to put on some flesh.
You could start enjoying all the good food that you love.
Right? So now I have to go with the edikanko and things like that, put on a little weight. But there was the joy in experiencing that. And when you go to the Igbo land, this was so funny. Are you ready? I go to the Igbo land. And kako. Do you know kako? Mm-hmm. You don't know kako. You do know kako.
Fish. But
fish.
very well dried, and so it doesn't really smell that. I mean, it has a very pungent smell. So
good.
Once it's there, it's representing.
So kako. In Igbo land, kako is prime fish. So we go and visit the clients. You better be smiling. What's that? So we go and visit the clients, and the client packs, premium kako for me. Okay, and I'm like, how am I going to take this to Lagos? Yeah. So I'm like, I was going to give it to the driver. I say, hey, you can't do that. I said, why? I said, hey, this guy has given you the best of the best. You have to accept it and, honor him and be glad about it. So despite everything, I put it on the aircraft and we went and we arrived in Lagos. And then I gave it to my house help. This lady was lying on the ground Ma, thank you. Thank you. You have blessed me. You have this.
Wow.
So the thing is, I don't judge anyone's culture. I don't care what happens in your home, and I respect it because this is what defines you. What I can take out of it, I take out of it. When I was coming from Nestle, Nigeria, most of my friends were like, Janet, you look like you're a Nigerian. I said, and what's wrong with that? You know what I mean? It's the beauty of life. It's the joy of experiencing other things. But by all means, absorb what you can, take the best out of it. What you don't like, discard it, and then enjoy life. Mm-hmm. Really. But color outside your lines. Enjoy it. That's all I'll say to you.
Color outside your lines.
Yes.
And don't let culture do you. You do culture.
Exactly.
Embrace it.
Embrace it. Don't judge it. A lot of people were like, Janet, are you sure you can stay in Nigeria? Nigerians are like this. Nigerians are like... I said, so you want to tell me how I should perceive Nigerians? Why don't you just let me go? Enjoy it. And then come back and come and tell you the good stories. And that's what I did. I really had fun in Nestle, Nigeria, Senegal. When you go there, they are doing the chebujen and chebuya.
I put on weight in Senegal
Charlie.
from chebujen. Oh my gosh, I could eat it every day.
It's the jollof of the
rice.
Senegalese.
Yeah.
It's so good. And the beauty is, when they serve their husbands, the decorum that goes with it. There's this big platter, the chep is in there, and the banchi, and everything is there. And the husband come and wash their hands, and the wife will wipe their hands, sometimes wash their feet. Yeah, wash their feet. And I'm like, hey, Janet, you need to up your game. You need to up your game. So when I came to Ghana back, I'm like, so let me wash your hands. I'm like, so let me wash your hands. I said, Janet, right? It's like this 9-day wonder. Stop it. If the word is stop it. Okay, but
culture can be beautiful.
It's beautiful. Just embrace it and get what you don't judge anybody.
So we shouldn't judge.
No.
How should we build others up?
That's a nice one. Please start.
I like that. I think it's one of the, what you're doing. This is an amazing platform. And, I have my platform True Life. It was something that I wanted to do because I believe that when people share their true stories, it has impact on lives. And I believe my life was changing for the better when I started hearing stories of people. When I went to the UK after university, I worked with the brand Mary Kay. And at that time, I don't even have makeup powder. I don't do makeup. But because of the work, I was doing it. And it was the stories about who she was, Mary Kay Ash, and her vision and all the affirmation that spoke to me. And so I thought that to be able to get people to be their best selves, if other people told their stories to them, they can learn from it and be better. And that's a great way to impact. And sometimes, even if it's to just one person, the change is amazing. And so I like platforms like this because then we're sharing stories, and if somebody resonates with comfort, and because of that, they actually make a 180 change or a whole turnaround. That's big change for them, their family, and it extends. So the ripple effect is amazing. And so platforms like this, I believe, are amazing. And so at every point in time, if we can share our stories, we should do so. I actually learned from a story that Mrs. Awushika shared. And she talked about the fact that someone came to do her makeup for her. She came to do a makeup during a wedding for everyone. And for her personally, she doesn't really sit for all the makeup. And that's true. So she has her powder, she puts it on, and she's done. But when the lady finished, she was hoping to do for her And she said, oh, no, I don't do makeup, just my powder is okay, and I'm going. 10 years or many years down the line, she met this woman again, and apparently the woman was so broken because she felt that when she said she shouldn't do her makeup, it was because she thought that she wasn't qualified. But that was not what she meant. And so the moral, and so she said she asked her to sit on her and said, no, I still do my makeup. That's not what she meant. So how we make people feel is very important. And so as people who are leaders and we're in the position where people are looking up to you, and all they sometimes want is just a smile or just a handshake, just a hug, those things mean a lot. I have met also when growing up, I met a woman that I see on TV, and I was like, this woman is amazing. When I met her in person, I was like, wow, this is a different human being. And I felt so bad because I was like excited to maybe get a handshake. And that would have meant a lot to me, but she didn't give it. But I met another woman, Joyce Ayi, and this woman,
We'll give you a
it was,
hug.
yes. And she would
She's so down to
and
earth,
she would
huh?
look in your eyes, and she didn't know me, but the way she spoke to me, so that helped me shake off that first one. And so it's really important, these little things. And I've seen her, she's so intentional. So I try to do that. Just yesterday, one of my team members, she sent me a message. I took the time to also respond to her. It was one of my girls' birthday. I was so busy, I didn't send a message, but I called her. So those little things, I think, are so important. It's not just about the big stage being on huge platforms, but the little things we do to the people around us, the security guard. It's all everywhere, but then let's make sure that we're paying attention. The people who work with us, not making them feel inferior, not making them feel a certain way, being conscious about how we make them feel. I think it's so important, very, very important.
Let me go with her intentionality. Intentionality really, really is important. It doesn't matter whether the person you see in front of you may not look like your typical person that you would connect with. If you are in a position to support that person's journey, do so. There's a story about this young gentleman who was in the rain. And as he was in the rain, he was selling, and he hadn't sold anything that day. And as he went around, some young lady saw her and told Daddy, can we buy the goods for this young man? The daddy said, okay, why not just bring him in, let's give him some coffee, or some milk, actually, because the guy hadn't eaten either. So he gave the guy milk, bought his stuff, and the guy went away. The guy says that, you know what, this thing that you've done, you pay, I'll make sure I'll come back and do something good for you. 20 years passed, and of course, nobody's keeping count, because it was like an incident in the past. But 20 years down the line, this old man has a heart condition, goes to a medical facility. And, medical facility, heart condition is not cheap. So they do all the consultations, but the girl says, Daddy, we don't have the money. The only thing that we can do is to sell our house. Daddy says, under no circumstance. Bible says we leave a legacy for our children, and that is your legacy. I'm not going to touch it. Let me die rather. Luckily, the doctor happens to be there. The doctor says that, you know what, let's go do the procedure, and then later on we'll look at how we'll pay for it. Procedure is a success. The daughter and father go home. They are happy, and so on and so forth. So they get the mail, the bill in the mail, and the bill says that paid for with a glass of milk.
Oh, that's a beautiful
This was a
story.
young gentleman who they supported. Can you imagine if they hadn't reached out to touch him? So we may not, when we get the opportunity to support someone, let's do it. And do it not expecting anything in return. Because the person goes on and the person makes a change in his personal life, maybe in his family life. And you may not understand the impact of what you have done. But a society becomes better because we have better individuals living in the society, and they are doing they are contributing their quota to our society being good. So hey, make a deliberate choice to bless others, especially when you're in the position to do so.
Yeah. Janet.
There we go. So, my take on this, Tucci, is I'm so happy that I was born a girl. And I'll tell you why. The reason being that I believe that men and women have different roles they play in society. But as women, we are engineered to be nurturers. Whether you've been pregnant before or not, in our DNA, because of the two sexes, we carry and incubate and birth and breastfeed. Along all those stages, from the day you're pregnant to the day you birth, you are endowed with certain abilities innately that makes you a nurturer. That makes you someone who is engineered to grow things. I'm not saying the men don't have a role, but I'm talking about women here. And actually, even women who have not gone through that process innately have those characteristics and those values. So you can imagine how wasteful it is when you're a woman and you do not leverage this quality that you have on others. The second thing for me, being a mom, and I love my gardens, when I wake up and I look at my garden, I say, Janet, so you put the seed and this plant has grown and is yielding fruits, which means that you have the capability to transfer this skill onto other human beings. And we see what we've done, my husband and I, with our children, from, the story I encountered to. So if you have been gifted with this skill, why don't you transfer it onto others? Why don't you gift back this onto others? So for me, it's about legacy. What do you leave behind? So that on the day when you're like going to get married, and our mothers were, the mothers-in-law was, which house is he from? You know the meaning of that question? Because that house is branded from the day you're birthed in it. And this branding, this legacy has been built by others. Oh, these people, they're intelligent people. Oh, this is a family of thieves. This is a family of learned people. This is a family of blah, blah, blah. So you, as a human being, you contribute to that legacy positively and impact it onto others. I told you when we started this conversation, the joy that you get in gifting people, allow people to also get that same joy. So as much as you impact, allow others to impact you. Because when we do mentoring, actually, as much as we impact knowledge and skills and whatever it is onto others, through that experience, we also get rewarded with something. And I see this all the time, whether it's through the Ghana's Most Beautiful, or I'm in Tamale, or one of the girls in Tamale recently said, Auntie Jane. In fact, when I got there, they were like, oh, so excited. Hey, Auntie Jane is, I'm like, she says, Auntie Jane, I've been watching you on TV. My dreams have been fulfilled. And I said, why? She said, because I told my father, you have been asking difficult questions. So I'm going to come on Ghana's Most Beautiful and answer all your questions. So I'm like, okay. Now, when I sit on that TV, people are listening, people are watching. Watch what you say. Be very intentional about what you say because it's impacting somebody else's life. So no matter the platform, watchman, security man, house help, whoever, just make sure you leave a positive impression on that person so that you can contribute to the legacy that they are building.
Lovely. Your final words on success. It can be one word. It can be an encouragement, anything.
To the person who just got out of the hospital bed, success is putting one step in front of the other. To the person who got the chance to go to an Ivy League school, success is getting as near to the 4.0 GPA as needed. To the person who has the opportunity to speak in a crowd of 20 million people, success is opening the mouth to say the first word. Success varies from situation to situation, from person to person. Therefore, look at your life. Look at what you need to accomplish. Put in the necessary steps. And take that first bold step. And you will be on your way to being a success wherever you are.
Lovely. Thank you.
My final words, my last word, I would say, I don't know if the saying is attributed to someone, but it says that if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. And so this success is a journey. It evolves, and it's great if you can go with people, and finding the right kind of people around you to go with. And I have amazing friendships, and I have a core group that I'm walking this journey with. They're called the Diamonds. And I like that we're going together, and we go hard on each other, and we push each other to be the best. But also, it's at your own pace. And so if you need to apply for that job where, like, you must write that letter, have you written it, have you shared it? And sometimes you need that support. And sometimes it can just be sitting together and just watching you, because there's no words to say. But when you have those people with you, so it's not just with anybody, because you don't want to be rolling with just anybody, but make sure that people who have same values as you have, and if you can do this thing called life together with them, I believe that you can go further.
Lovely. Lovely.
Touch. We started this whole conversation. We were singing and dancing. Some of us don't know the words. Others were just humming along, but the energy was so great. And for me, like I said, as I have progressed in life, I have this song that is always in my heart. Will your aunt, if you know it, sing it along with me. Will your anchor hold in the storms of life, when the clouds unfold their wings of strife, when the strong tides lift and the cables strain, will your anchor drift or firm remain? We have an anchor that keeps the soul steadfast and sure while the billows roll, fastened to the rock which cannot move, grounded firm and deep in the Savior's love. So for me, success is about being grounded. It's about being grounded and having those different spokes along the pivot. And this can be your spirituality. This can be your immediate family. It can be your mother. It can be your friends. It can be your sisterhood. It can be yourself. It can be your skills. It can be anywhere. Most importantly, get your spokes so that when the billows roll, no matter what you're looking at, 5, 10 years, that pivot still holds. And that pivot is you. And that pivot is your value. And that pivot is your character. So I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, ladies, for bringing all of yourselves today, for the value, for the insights, for the stories, for blessing so many people who are going to see this. I'm grateful for all of you as well.
Yeah.
Wonderful support system and just wonderful people. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Tucci.